And I remember this large insect, praying mantis looking thing comes around the table, grabs my head and turns it to the left, and then sticks a large needle into my neck behind my ear. And at that point, everything just went fuzzy. Hi, my name is Zack Agee, and I was abducted by aliens when I was 6 years old. I was born in Texas on a military base, Fort Hood. Lived there for about 2 years, moved to Yakima, Washington, and I grew up here for about maybe 16 years until I moved to Arizona. And I normal kid, normal household. Grew up in a very Baptist Christian house. Never really felt attached to that kind of stuff, and that led me to studying more of that science and factual based stuff. Got me interested in kind of like physics and all kinds of stuff. And then I was 6 years old when this happened, um, and what I remember from it is it was late at night. I woke up in bed and my whole room was just filled with light. And what I remember, it was just like a bright, blinding, bluish white light that left no shadows anywhere in my room. And then all of a sudden, I just see these two small beings just appear right by my window in my room. And they were wearing this like tight-fitting, silvery, glittering, shining body suit type thing, and I felt this pounding sensation in my whole body and my whole head. This voice just said, "Come with us," and that was it. I didn't question it. I just went. Nothing. My body was just under its own control or something. I just went, and then the next thing I know, I'm just floating up through the air. And I can see the night sky, I can see the city below me, and then I see just this bright white light up ahead of me, and then I'm just inside this large hangar type area, and I'm seeing everything was like white panels, flush, metallic concave beams, and it was just, I can't properly describe it. It was like something out of a movie, and these two beings were standing right next to me, one on each side, and I remember them guiding me around, just showing me things. And I remember seeing these silver orbs just parked along the side wall to my left, and then I look over and I'm seeing like these tall human looking people with these more of these small littler beings. And at that point I just get terrified and I just start running. I just this hallway, I just go down, I'm running down this hallway, and I see this large window up to my right, and I run up to the window, and I see just the blackness of space. I don't see any stars, but I just see like this curvature, blue, white, shiny thing in the bottom left outside the window. And then that terrifies me even more. I have no idea where I'm at that point. And I just keep running down this hallway, and it comes to like a little junction to where I see another one of those human looking people kneeling down in like some crates or boxes. And then when I get to that little cross section, this being grabs me, and I feel more of that pounding inside telepathic voice inside my head saying, "Whoa, hey, you're not supposed to be here." And at that point, I'm just petrified, no idea what's going on. And these two beings show up again, and then they grab me. And then at that point, I'm completely paralyzed. I can't move. And they're either carrying me or floating me or something. They're carrying me back down this hallway, and they lead me to this squarish room. And it had like a brown diffused light inside of it. Everything was just like a hue of like brown. And I remember seeing like this science-y station looking thing with like a bunch of screens, tubes, beakers, whatever it was, just off to the right in the corner. And there was this large praying mantis looking thing standing over it, doing stuff with the little whatever it was. And these two beings lay me down onto this reclined table, and I'm laying down on my back, and I'm still paralyzed. I can't move, and my hands are in like an upright curved position, and I can't move, like completely paralyzed. And the whole time it was excruciating pain. And I remember one of the beings just sat there by the table just staring at me, and I could see I could see their eyes. They were this large, circular, golden brown, speckled eyes. I mean, they didn't have like the sclera or whatever it is, the whites of our eyes that we normally do. It was just complete iris. It was complete. There's large black pupils just staring at me this whole time. And I remember this large insect, praying mantis looking thing comes around the table, grabs my head and turns it to the left, and then sticks a large needle into my neck behind my ear. And at that point, everything just went fuzzy. Everything just felt warm, fuzzy, and just like I was in a daze. And the next thing I know is I'm able to move again. And these smaller little beings, they grab me off the table and they lead me to an adjacent room. And in that room, they hand me a small black box, and they had me open the box, and inside the box, it just exploded in light. It was like an information download watching 1,000 movies play at once at like light speed. It was just memories, images of like mountains, stars, symbols, mathematical equations, to like flashes as images of like different memories of like just normal stuff, like walking down a roadway, walking up to a hill, just random stuff, maps, all random shit. And at that point, it brought me to a memory of my own past life, to where I saw my own family die in a car accident, walk up to my own house, and then I shot myself. And then that memory ended, and then once that ended, they took the box away and closed it. And then they led me back down that hallway that I was running down at the beginning, led me back into that large hangar type area, and then I was just in my room. And then they were laying me back down into my bed, and then they walked back to my window, and they turned around, and that telepathic voice again said, "We'll be seeing you again soon." And then that was it. I have no idea what happened, who they were. Apparently it's all part of the plan, and they don't tell you what the plan is. It's just that you're a part of it. And I'm a science guy, I'm a spiritualist guy. I don't think that these things are angels, demons, or anything like that. I think they're people just like us, and I don't know what they want with us. There was one point back a couple years ago, my wife and I, this was over in Chicago, and late night, probably like 10 o'clock, we just got done watching TV, and we were just getting ready for bed, and my wife goes into the bedroom, and then I'm going into the kitchen to go grab my drink. And I remember just instinctively turning on the light switch, like you just walk into a room, you know where the light switch is, you flip it on. And in that moment of turning the light on, I see through my sliding glass door out onto the balcony, which is on the second floor, and this tall, pale white, skinny but muscular being looking at me through the sliding glass door, and it just takes off running off onto my balcony's railing and then onto my roof, to then I can hear it at that point running across the roof, and then I heard our neighbor like scream. I ran into our bedroom, told my wife what I had seen, and all I could see when I initially saw it before it ran off was the large, weird, bulbous forehead eye, and then its leg as it turned to run away, and I could see that tendon that you had behind like your knee. It was extremely like pronounced. It was a massive tendon connecting like to its calf muscles, to its I don't know, all the whole muscles in its leg is weird. And I remember telling my wife what I had seen, and we kept feeling like we were being watched, and we kept hearing this metallic hissing sound outside of our apartment. And the whole night we're just like staring out the window for like 2 hours, like wondering where the hell this thing was. And nothing happens. We go to bed, and my wife wakes up in the middle of the night to go turn off a fan. And she remembers going back into bed and then looking over towards our dresser and seeing the same being, the same tall white being, crouched down by the dresser, just staring at us in bed. She freaks out and grabs her phone, turns on her flashlight, and shines it at this thing, and it just vanishes, just phases out, disappears. And at that point, she was scared. And then apparently she doesn't even remember seeing it. I had to tell her like what I saw and all that. And then she described it, and she said it had a egg-shaped head with large almond black eyes, like almond-shaped black eyes. Is pale white. It was the same being that I had seen previously in that night. And then that was the end of that one. We never saw that being again. And then when we moved to Washington State, we lived in Richland for a while. The first night we moved there, it was probably 2-3 o'clock in the morning. We just got into town probably 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And we just got done unloading, we get into bed, and I couldn't sleep. And my wife's sleeping right next to me. And I remember looking out of the window and seeing this tall figure peering in. And I'm like, what the hell is that looking at me? And so I get up and I look out the window. That thing is gone, but now I'm seeing these small, cloaked, like invisible, like almost like that Predator thing, like where it's like invisible, but you can like see its outline kind of. A bunch of them were coming down off of the hillside. There's like a hillside in the backyard that goes up to like a canal. And they were coming down off that hill into the yard and running around, just almost playfully. And I shake my wife awake, saying like, hey, there are things outside. And she gets up out of bed, and she's seeing these things with me. We're really watching them, they're coming down off the hill, just running around through the yard, and just no idea what they were doing. And I remember grabbing my phone to tell my Discord group that I was in at the time. I was live streaming it to them, and the whole time my camera was acting glitchy. Like it was completely out of focus, but like we could see during the recording, they could see everything, but when you go for the playback, it's all distorted, out of focus. Like my phone's not the best camera, but it can record a solid picture. But when you look at the recording, it's completely pixelated, it's completely just not worth it, you know what I mean? But we were seeing these things, and I remember one of the little beings ran up to the window, almost like it scared me so much that it knocked me off balance. And when I correct myself, I reach up to grab my phone to record this thing right at our window, and then my hand just hurts at that point. It just starts cramping like it's never cramped before, and it started like turning inward on itself, and I dropped my phone. And it only affected the hand that I went to reach to record with. No idea what happened there, and we were just watching these things for probably 30 minutes before everything just stopped. They just left. And that's really the only visitations that I've had. I mean, I have a couple photos of UFOs that I've seen here in Yakima from back in 2018. I've seen UFOs all of my life, basically, since I can remember. I've seen UFOs here in Washington and down in Tucson, Arizona. I've seen things flying on planes. The whole reason why I even remember any of this, because my whole life I went through probably 16, 17 of them thinking I just had like a really bad dream when I was really young. And I remember going onto Reddit and seeing someone post offering pro bono sessions of hypnotherapy for a regression session to anyone claiming to have been abducted by aliens. And so I had talked to that guy, told him my dream, told him my experience, and told him the whole dream just never made sense. The whole dream was, I remember going up a staircase into this white house that actually was right down the road. Never been to the house, never knew who lived there, never seen the inside, but they used that house as some kind of screen memory to where I was going up a staircase into a bedroom, and then there was a large bed in the middle of the room and a praying mantis phasing through the wall. And I remember in the dream laying down on this bed and just staring up at this praying mantis. That dream stuck with me for years, and I have no idea what it was. It just never made sense. So I told him that, and then we did the session, revisited it, dived deep into my subconscious, and I uncovered that whole traumatic experience of being abducted when I was 6. I tell people all the time, and it's just, You get mixed reactions as you would normally would. People will say, oh, you need help, you're schizo. Other people will say that they've experienced the same things. It's really just it's a messy world out there. This is a very fringe topic, and people are very closed-minded when it comes to things that go against normal bounds of society's understandings of things and how the world works. The whole time when I was running down the hallway and I was grabbed by that human-looking being, that was when I became paralyzed. As soon as those two little beings came and grabbed me, that's when I was in complete pain. My hands were like up in a weird locked position, and I couldn't move, and I was just being carried or floated or something. Like, they weren't touching me. I don't know what was going on there. Almost like a pressure point being perpetually pressed all over your body. I just want people to understand that this is a real thing that people actually go through. It's very traumatic, and there's no outlets for people. There's nothing. People are just mocked. I think about it every day. In my own time, I'm a very spiritual guy. I also stick to my science. I'm a firm believer that spirituality can be explained by science, just not yet. I think everything is connected. I figured out, because if you wake up with a strange dream, and if you have marks on your body that weren't there before, if you have things that in your house that were in different places that you left them, there's all different kinds of signs that you can see if you know where to look, that you either had an encounter, an abduction, or like whatever you want to call it. I believe that these things exist all around us in a spatial dimension that exists all around us in less than a billionth of an inch away from us at all times throughout the past, present, and future simultaneously. I believe that they are from a higher dimension. I don't know what that dimension is, but I believe we only live in a spectrum of reality that we have no idea that there are things around us even right now. There are things that you can do with your own mind to see these types of areas. The CIA did some stuff with the Monroe Institute way back when, and they discovered that in a meditative state, your brain can align itself with an oscillation pattern of 10 to the negative 33 centimeters per second squared when viewed on an oscilloscope. And at this point of rest, when your brain waves go up and down, that point of rest can exceed that limited boundary of our physical reality and basically blip out and apparently exist and retain information in this extra spatial dimension where these things can operate. I believe everything that involves this phenomenon is consciousness-based, and we are on a spectrum of consciousness that exists in everything around us. I think just more people need to be aware of that, and not many are. I'm shaking. My whole body, I get sweaty. I'm shaking on the inside. I hate telling the story. Be careful what you wish for. They operate on a different set of morals than we do, and we are basically an experiment to them. They don't care about our pain, but will help subside it if it helps further their own agenda. There are things that I can go into where that it's possible that they even created us and that we're all just genetic manipulations and just they're farming us basically. But no one really knows what's going on, and it needs to be studied. If people want to experience this, I have guides that I have written myself that can teach you all about the consciousness link and basically summon UFOs, these UAPs, whatever you want to call it, these entities, whatever they are. And yeah, I can definitely teach people, but it is something that is not safe. People like to say that it can be safe, but there are so many things that can go wrong. You could never come back to this planet. Like, it's such a gamble. They can kill you. They can shoot you with these like grid-like lasers that leave burn marks. There's a famous encounter, I can't remember his name, but like the whole red grid phenomenon He had an encounter. He was burned by a laser. Like, there are so many things that can go wrong. It's such a wide unknown field. I would definitely caution anyone that would want to get interested in finding them to definitely do your research, and come prepared. Mental capacity, for one, is not for the faint-hearted. These things can impose a sense of energy on your consciousness that can make you do things that you are not in control of. They can wipe your memory. They can implant different memories than things that you think you've experienced. Being prepared is, gotta have a way out. If you have an experience, look for an exit if you don't want it. If you don't have an exit, you need to, I guess I would recommend just do what they say. Like, just listen, try to be peaceful, don't make any threatening movements, don't make any threatening sounds, don't do anything that can be construed as threatening. Like, there's so many unknowns. It's really hard to prepare. No one can be fully prepared. These things can exert a sense of control over anything that we see, do, and basically be. They control our reality, basically. There's really nothing that you can do to necessarily stop it, but there are things that you can help to mitigate a easier time. If that makes sense. It's a wild experience, and there are so many things that you can learn from it. And I don't look at normal society the same anymore. Everything's mundane to me when I know that there are things out there that are beyond our human comprehension. Like, nothing physical, monetary, nothing materialistic means anything anymore. There's a whole other reality that I'm now focused on, and I want answers. Do I want them to come back? Sure. But knowing what I know now, I feel like I could be more prepared, in a sense, to handle it better, not control it. I just want answers. That's why I share my story. There's other people out there that go through the same thing. The best thing you can do is share your experience, because the more people that share their experiences, the more people will wake up and find out that this thing is happening, and people need to look into it. And if no one's going to look into it, then we need to do it ourselves.